Hi, Seth. Nice to meet you.
Hi, happy to be with you.
And thank you so much for being taking your time out to just sit here with me. Seth,
Of course.
let's start by just presenting yourself, like introducing you. Who are you? Name?
Sure. So my name is Seth Cohen.
Yeah.
I'm actually relatively new at Forbes. I'm the head of global communities and philanthropic partnerships for Forbes Media in the U.S.
Yeah.
I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and have a career that has covered a lot of ground, from law to philanthropy and now into media, but always one through line has been impact. I've always been very focused on impact.
Oh yeah, and you with the Forbes event. This is the first time going to the Forbes event?
No, actually, what's interesting is several years ago when I was working for a large foundation called the Schusterman Family Foundation, Randall Lane, the editor of Forbes, actually we met on a train from Dublin to Cork. So the Middle Eastern Summit started in Europe on a train, and the two of us hatched this idea to bring the Forbes Under 30 community to Israel. So I joined that one in 2016, and now I'm seeing it from the other side as being part of the Forbes team.
Yeah, and what makes you... So when I went into this event, I saw like so much opportunity, so much networking and stuff like that. Can you comment on like how do you see like these events? Like how do Forbes want to...
Yeah, so look, the big idea that we have at Forbes is that the people that are on the Forbes Under 30 list and in the Under 30 community are going to be leading the world for the next 50 years. So if they're going to be the leaders for the next 50 years, then we need to bring them in the places that inspire them either through challenge or through creativity or through community. And especially after the pandemic, for the past few years, we've all been a little bit lonely.
Yeah.
We've been in our own homes, in our own apartments.
Yeah.
So why not bring them to one of the most exciting but also most complex regions and help us all reconnect together?
Ah, that's awesome. And Seth, just about you, like, what was your first job? Like, what did you do?
Yeah, so I don't years and years and years ago. I'm by the way way over 30.
Yeah.
I would say I was like on the 30 under 30 list, and I was 40 under 40. Now I'm just figuring it out under 50. But I was a young lawyer, doing high-tech mergers and acquisitions back in the late 90s and 2000s, and that was my job. And it was a really good time. We were building businesses, building companies, but what was exciting for me was at night I would help nonprofits and NGOs, both in my community in Atlanta and in Israel and around the world. And I started realizing that maybe was my mission. My mission wasn't just to help do IPOs for unicorns, but it was to help turn the world into a better place.
Awesome. And what about like, so I was thinking much about like, so you inspire leaders here, you inspire very young leaders.
Yeah.
And if you just take some takeaways from your own notes, maybe, what takeaways do you take from Israel, from the summit? Do you have like any specific?
Well, I take a lot from Israel, the summit, and actually all the young listers that we're meeting here. I have a saying that when it's all said and done, what matters more is what's done than what's said.
Yeah.
So I think what makes the Forbes community, not just the under 30 list, but the team, the entire universe of Forbes readers and entrepreneurs, is that we don't just say things, we go do things.
Yep.
And I think what's been really inspiring about this summit has been that we've really been, talking about the things we're gonna do. And when we go home, my hope from this summit is not that people will just remember the good times, because we've had a great time here and we've learned a lot, we've heard from a lot of inspiring people, but that we're going to actually do things to build better businesses, to build better communities, to build a better world. You can do good while doing well.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'd love for people to take away from this summit.
I think you will succeed in that one, because like when I got so inspired going down here and really just seeing all the amazing
It's your
speakers.
first time in Israel?
My first time in
Wow,
Israel. And my
great.
first time at the Forbes event. I was a lister last year, but COVID was so like rough.
Yeah,
So I wanted to go to Detroit, but couldn't make it because of like the COVID rules and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, this is look. We're putting community again at the center of the Forbes universe, and because we know that what people want is they want to find their next new co-founder. They might want to find their next new investor, but they also want to find people that inspire them and motivate them. I think if COVID taught us anything, that we can't do things alone. We're all interconnected and we're all interdependent, and this Forbes community, really, in Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia, in Africa, in North America, South America, if we kind of find ways to connect, we can really, really solve problems, and that's what we're trying to do.
I think you're doing a good job, sir. But how is like the next for Forbes? Like, are you gonna do more events now that COVID is gone, or do you want?
So it's a great question. Twofold. One, obviously we enjoy and appreciate the value of summits like this, but I'm spending a lot of my time thinking about the in-between.
Yeah.
How do we help these communities stay connected? When you go home from Israel and you go back to Denmark, or you go back to North America, or you go back to Botswana, how do you stay in touch with those individuals that you met? How do you keep communicating with each other? So we're planning on new ways of communicating, new ways of fostering local, Forbes local. And we're thinking about new ways to create more intimate experiences like Forbes forums and Forbes travel experiences.
Awesome.
So I think there's a lot on the horizon for the next few years. I'll be a busy man if we do all of this.
Sounds like it. And now you're in touch with like the Forbes community. Do you have like any advice for young leaders who want to like change the world, or want to be like a part of the whole Forbes community?
Yeah, I always really feel that we learn from the youth. I learn from the youth. I have a 19-year-old daughter that is aspiring to be on the Forbes Under 30 list, and I'm sure my 17-year-old and 14-year-old will want to be on that list as well. But I think it's make sure you know what your North Star is.
Yeah.
Like, know why you're doing what you're doing, and remember that you really can, kind of do well and do good. But sometimes I always feel people lose the why. And if you know your why, then you never get lost. You might take a left turn, a right turn. You might even go in a circle every once in a while.
Yeah.
But if you know your why, and you stay focused on that, you can go very, very far.
Yeah. Let me give you a very broad and big question. Do you think the young people have the ability to do that at this point?
Yeah, there's always going to be skeptics. There's always going to be people that are cynical. My last chapter of my career before joining Forbes, I had a startup called Applied Optimism.
Yeah.
And my saying was that it's crazy to be an optimist these days. I mean, the world, as we know, is a bit of a mess. There's climate change, there's a war in Ukraine, there's economic challenges that we're facing. But an applied optimist is someone who believes in purpose, in knowledge, and in wonder.
Yeah.
And I think when I look at these emerging generations, they have a great amount of purpose.
Yeah.
They really have knowledge that people of my generation don't have.
Yeah.
And they can really create a lot of wonder. So I'm very optimistic. I have no doubt that this generation and the generations after it are going to do the things that my generation and generations before haven't been able to.
I think so too. It's really, really an amazing generation coming up now. And the information stream is so big. Like even you guys doing content all of the time. Like you do video, you do interviews, you do everything.
That's right.
And you just put it out there so everybody
and you have to build, community is also about trust.
Yeah.
And so when we go back to kind of why we do these events, it's because there's so much media, there's such a lack of trust right now about who can you believe, what facts are true. It's very difficult to not believe people when you really know them, when you've gotten to know them. So I think the future of media isn't just more. In fact, it might be less. But the future of media is maybe building community as a service, as well as just a fact.
And the big fear about that is really like the echo chamber. Thinking about it, like, because when you got like all the algorithms and stuff like that, you're really in a hard place at this point of the time, because you don't know really if you're gonna go with the same information every time, or you're gonna get like challenge your views.
Yeah, and there's going to be like, look, and what's exciting, and again, I met some people at this summit that have talked and are working on this. That's what things like blockchain and other things are exciting, because it's all about trust. So once we start to build systems of trust in media, we'll have a much better approach to believe and understand why and where we should be reading. And so again, for Forbes, we want to be one of the most trusted brands in media that will help you get smarter, hopefully more wealthy, and also create a bigger impact in the world.
Yeah. Do you have one quote from the Forbes Summit you remembered and just keeps going in your head?
Yeah, well, it's actually from this morning. It's Yalla, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Perfect. Thank you so much, Seth, for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.